starting this project today. If you guys watched my video on my trip to the GMC Jamboree truck show, you know that the truck broke down on me in Ohio on the way back. And we had some coolant issues, which may or may not even really truly be issues. And then the bigger one was the starter and the battery cables. So I'm bringing over here. I've already gotten started. And I'll finish filming this next weekend, but you can see I pulled the wheel for access. Cables are unhooked. Ford uses these splits, and I don't know if I can. That's not horrible. I might be able to tape that up. I don't know. I'd like to be able to keep using those, but the problem we've got is situations like that. Right there. That's a little more problematic. And then eventually when I get these off, I'll show you the terminal ends, but they're in similar shape. This starter's a pain in the butt in this short hood truck. It's buried under the cab and next to the frame rail. So we're working from underneath. And I'm working on getting terminals off right now, and then we'll see if I even have the 12-point socket to pull the starter. So I'll bring it back. Well guys, this is the kind of project this is going to be apparently. I've got all the cables off, but I don't know if you can see. I won't focus on it. See that crack? And that's not a cheapie, that's a Mac. And I did not have an impact on it. That was a breaker bar. These suckers will not break free, the mounting bolts. All right, well, here's where we stand about 3 or 4 hours later. I am covered in dirt and grease from head to toe. All the terminal wires are unhooked on the starter. 2 out of the 3 bolts are out. The heads aren't stripped, and the aluminum and the bell housing isn't stripped. It took a lot of heat and a broken socket, but we got it. The third and last one is the booger of the 3. We're going to take a break from that one. I'm done with it for tonight. I did manage to get the cables out of the truck completely. So it's the grounds that were the worst. This was our, so all of my hots and all of my negatives go straight to the starter. Doubled up on the starter, on the ground stud on the front of the starter for the grounds, and doubled up to the positive stud on the solenoid. From there, power routes up to the terminals and the fuse panels, and ground routes to the chassis, which is this wire. You can see it's in really good shape. I mean, it's still got connection, but there's a lot of corrosion there. This was the side on the starter itself. You can see we've got a lot of disconnected wires. So we didn't have much of a ground to the chassis. The other ground that goes from the chassis to the body is still on the chassis to the cab is still on the truck. It's in equally horrible condition. I've got a couple. I think I got a couple cables. I'll look and see, but I think I got what we could use to make that work. And even if they're the wrong terminal ends, I'll just cut them off and recrimp new terminals on. I got some brand new cables in boxes still though, so we got those. So this would be the driver's side negative cable. You can see we've got a similar situation going on. We got a lot of corrosion. We got there's only about 50% of that that's still connected. Midway through, we have that. It's been cut for years and years and years. Same thing, we're lucky if we have 50% connection there. So those 2 0 cables are down to, maybe a 2 gauge. This positive, to be honest with you, is probably usable. I just don't know if I want to. If I'm going to replace them and I got them out, I'm kind of thinking about just replacing them. I'm going to price it out and see. Passenger side cables from the passenger side battery box are in very similar shape. About 50% loss, maybe more on that one. On the negative, 2 major cuts. And positive again, that's a fresh cut that I clearly just made. But positive again looks okay. So I'll mull it over. I'll measure these out right now, price it out, and see what I want to do. But we'll get those ordered. You know, Ford, in their infinite wisdom, like most OEMs, they put everything in these stupid clamps, which, yeah, held it nice, but you can see once the cab was on, that was never coming off. So I got a couple wires, small gauge wires I got to fix because I reefed them and broke them, cut them, what have you. And I got an airline, one of my shifter transmission airlines. When I attempted to torch something out, I got a little hot. Done it before, curse myself every time I do it. I'll do it again, I'm sure. But it's a fun one to get to. It's just a little baby, I don't know, 5/32 line or whatever it is, but we're going to have to get in and replace/splice that, so that'll be fun. I think we're going to go with the old push to leaks on that one because that'll be nice and easy. So, at any rate, calling it good for the night. We'll see what we can do to get that last bolt out, get this starter identified and ordered. But that's that. All right, guys, I'm going to take you in here, show you what I'm working with. I don't know if you can even see it. So do you see, right? Yeah, doesn't want to focus. Hidden right down there is the end of my socket extension. I can only fit 3/8 in there. That's going all the way. I'm on the bolt, on the 12.5/8 bolt, the last one, which I can't see. I can feel it. And I've got nowhere to turn a ratchet. I've got nowhere to get an impact. It's just boxed right the F in. So what I'm thinking, sometimes you gotta do more work to make your life easier. But, you know, we got a fuel shut-off solenoid, and I know my gauge is off. I had to take it off yesterday on the side of the road or in the parking lot. But we got a fuel shut-off solenoid with the broken thumb screw. You can see there at the end there, right there, where the thumb screw is stripped off. I don't know what that's going to do long term, but I'd just soon change it. They're not too bad. They're 40, 50, 60 bucks, depending whether you want Cummins or you want aftermarket. And then, you know, I've had this pump off a couple times. It's not the end of the world to take it off. And actually the worst part of it, I mean, it's a pain in the butt, but it's not bad. Especially since it's been off. All these bolts are free. I know that it's easier just to remove the fuel filter housing from down below, and that makes life easier. I'd also just soon replace the fuel filter. It's been on here for over a year. Oh, by the way, that's the cab ground there. You can see that's in really, really good shape. I could dang near twist that right off right now. Oh yeah, definitely. So anyway, we're replacing that too. But I just gonna pull the pump. I'm gonna, I think, order some governor shims, and I'm gonna put a shim or two in, try to get myself maybe 100 to 200 RPMs on the high end. And with that pump gone, it's gonna make life a whole lot easier to get in there. I could probably get an impact in, same with the pump and with the, right there, you can see the fuel filter block. If I get both of those out of the way, my life's gonna be a whole lot easier to both get this starter out and to reinstall a new one. So we're just gonna get this all taken care of. We'll get ourselves a fuel shutdown solenoid, we'll get ourselves some governor shims, and a starter and all of our cables, and we're gonna put this thing back to good. All right, guys, well, it's a few days later, Thursday night actually, versus Sunday, and I got home in a reasonable hour tonight, which for me is 6:30. Left the house at about 5:30 in the morning, got home at 6:30. That's an early night for me in the summertime. So what I'm working on is this injection pump has got to go. I have, as you can see, all the lines are free. except for that very big back one. But we're taking that off of the filter block down there. Down there, yeah. And I've got the linkage free, so I've just got the 4 bolts remaining on the 12 points that hold hold the pump to the air compressor, and I've got 4 bolts down on the fuel filter block, and then 1 line. So we're in the home stretch now. I'm gonna try to get this off and maybe get this other starter bolt off. Tomorrow's Friday, and see if I can't get myself a starter yet this week. If not, we'll get it next week if we can't get this off tonight, but here's hoping. All right, there we go. Well, it's not like it's an easy job, but it's out. And lo and behold, there's the starter. I can see it. And there's my extensions already on it. So I don't know how I'm going to get the heat to it. I'm going to try it with the gun first and see if I can just pull it off, but I won't get that lucky. So after that, we just got to get heat to that 1 bolt, get her to break free, and we are in the home stretch. All right, guys, well, we're working on the pump today. I don't think I'm going to be able to finish it, though. Got the old shut-off solenoid off. That took a little bit of work. Looks like I maybe got to get some, I don't know if you can see that. Might be a lock washer in there I got to get out. I've cleaned them up and wire wheeled them since, but those fasteners were a pain to get off. Took heat, lube, tapping. But that's ready to go back on. There's the new one. We got to transfer some fittings, one of which I got to replace. Pulled off the governor assembly. Put in 3 washers. Those are 50 RPM washers as far as I can tell. So it'll put us up to about 2250 to 2300, which is the absolute most I want to go. So that gasket's bad because some dummy put RTV on it. So we got to order another one of those, and we got to order a front gasket. So won't be able to put this on today, but I am going to temporarily put that governor cover back on, and I'm going to put that fuel shutdown solenoid on, and then we're going to shoot some paint on this girl, cover up some fittings, of course, but we're going to get some paint on it, clean it up, make it look pretty. So that's the plan. All right, well, we got everything temporarily reinstalled, fittings out and cleaned up, important stuff taped off, and we're gonna throw a little etching primer on it. And then I think she's gonna go black. You know, because black just, I don't know, it's just, I like a little accent on the motor, you know? And need some accent. We got a whole bunch of come and stand going on, and well, I'll be darned, I want some black. And that new starter is, of course, probably gonna look different too, so we'll have a little accent there. So yeah. Alright, so on these cables, like I said before, I want to reuse these ends because they have these joints in them already. There's some slight cuts in some of right at the terminals, but we can clean that up and tape it up. So basically what I'm going to do is cut these back, and we'll use these crimp connectors and the fancy tool I got, and we'll crimp the new cables on. That's kind of boring, so I'll probably bring it back when it's done. Well, a few days has passed. My parts have come in, and I've reassembled the injection pump. You can see she's nice and painted all. I went satin black again. I like a little accent on the motor, so you can see the new gasket on the governor housing. Cleaned up the fittings on this hose. Hose is in good enough shape. I'm not worried about replacing it. I mean, it's not brand new, but she's good. New gasket for the front. And you can see here, we got the new fuel solenoid. New putty on all the fittings, even though they're brass, I technically don't need it, but yeah, we did it anyway. And got the gauge back in, and yeah, so that's ready to install. Yeah, it's not gonna stay, but anyway, that's looking good. And I've got to cut off one of these ends on this cable and got myself the new terminal end that'll properly fit the starter. And speaking of starters, there's the new one. So the old one's outside, so I don't have them side by side, but you know, so physically very similar size, but a lot of aluminum going on here, and this is much lighter. The other one I would struggle to lift with one hand. This one, I mean, it's not light, but it's not nearly as bad. So should be a match. I've got to bypass and remove the relay, starter relay that's up on the firewall. Delco wants you to use theirs, so it eliminates a couple of the wires that are old and crusty, and we're just gonna have to reroute the exciter wire coming from the starter switch up to here. So switch to relay to solenoid to starter. So we'll get that all taken care of. But the only thing that's extra is this is an overspeed or overcrank sensor. We don't need it, so we're just gonna it's probably fine, but I'll probably fill it full of silicone just to be sure. You know, just a 2-wire terminal on there. So anyway, that's the size of it. So we get that old girl going again soon. So guys, I did just compare the new starter to the old, and I do not, I repeat, not need to clock the starter. But what I do need to do, I don't know if I put it away or I'm just blind. Yeah, I put it away. Is if I ever pull this again, or somebody else ever has to pull this again, I don't want to have to deal with these the way I did. So we're going to put a whole lot of that on there, solve that problem, especially going through aluminum into aluminum. So yeah. All right, well, I skipped ahead. It's really hard to video when you're under a truck and in and out nonstop. I'm tired. I'm dirty. But I think she's ready to fire. Let me show you. So everything's done. Even wheels back on, mud flaps back on. You can see we got us a nice pretty injection pump. And actually with this, you can see the starter buried in there. With that smaller starter, I can actually get to the governor cover assembly. I can get to so much more. This starter is more accessible and the injection pump is more accessible. So that's all on. Everything's buttoned up. We got, you can't see it, but you can see it poking out. There's a new fuel filter, and I did new oil filters too. I got less than 2,000 miles on this oil, but it's been a year and a half. Yeah, I decided it was time for some filters. So that's all done. The airline I burned through is fixed. New battery cables are in, loomed through, connected up in both boxes. The only thing I think I didn't do is I still have to rehook up the pyrometer. That was a separate issue, and I did have a problem with my fuel tank strap coming loose. Something's stripped in there. We'll deal with that another day. So I'm gonna set you guys up and let you see what she sounds like the first go around. Now, this might spin a little slower because I did kill 2 of my batteries on another truck. Long story. So I got 2 good ones and 2 low ones, but that ought to spin this, especially with this new starter and brand new cables. try something new. Put you on the stand so you can very definitely follow. I'll shut this off and just check for air leaks and listen to that sweet starter again. Alright, no air leaks. And that thing rolls over fast. Alright, let's go for a drive. All right, guys. Well, there you have it. The L9000. We put Humpty back together again. So, fuel tank strap got fixed. Show you, I did that off camera. There's no reason for you to need to see that. Pyrometer's back working. Injection pumps, got us some extra washers. We got a few extra RPM out of her. All painted up, cleaned up. New fuel shutoff solenoid. Just perfect. That brand new gear reduction starter. Easier access to everything. Turns over like a dream. All brand new battery cables. All brand new ground cables. Batteries charged up. We're good to go. So can't wait to drive it some more. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it, and y'all have a good week.